13th floor horror story. Hindi horror stories. Scary pumpkin. Animated stories. The elevator shouldn't have stopped on the 13th floor. Our building didn't even list the 13. But the doors slid open with a soft ding, and I saw it. A huge pumpkin glowing on a glass trading desk, its carved grin shaped like a dollar sign. Every screen in the room flashed falling stock charts, all red, like bleeding lines. A message rolled across the tickers in bold letters. Pay what you owe WE. The lights flickered. Cold air rushed past me as if the floor had taken a breath. Then the pumpkin turned its face toward me, and the cutout eyes narrowed, as if it knew my name and my debt. Emma, the speakers whispered in a voice that didn't sound human. 13 is never skipped. It is collected. My finger slammed the closed door button, but the button read 13 now, and nothing else. The elevator groaned, the doors started to close, and something like a shadow reached across the floor toward my shoes. It wasn't always like this. A week earlier, things looked normal, at least from the outside. I'm Emma Pierce, junior analyst at Highline Ridge Investments, downtown Manhattan. I work with charts, earnings calls, and neat stacks of paper that smell like printer ink and worry. My job is to help rich clients grow their money, but I was secretly drowning in my own. Student loans, rent, and my dad's hospital bill had stacked up like a tower I couldn't climb down from. Every month I told myself next month would be better. It never was. Monday started busy. Halloween week meant markets were weird. People selling this, buying that, nerves running like power lines pinging in the wind. Our CFO, Mr. Carter, had a voice like a locked door. He slid a thin folder onto my desk. Emma, I need projections for Silver Grain Foods before noon. And bring them straight to me. Yes, sir, I said. My hands felt cold. Silver Grain was a steady food company. Safe. Or so I thought. As I typed, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my bank. Payment overdue. I pressed my lips together and kept working. When the numbers finally totaled, something looked off. A small note inside the folder didn't match the public report. It hinted at extra debt hidden in a line item. I checked again. The company owed more than the balance sheet showed. If that was true, the stock wasn't safe at all. Emma, my friend Jake whispered from the neighboring cube. He wore a gray hoodie under his blazer and lived on too much coffee. You going to the rooftop party Wednesday? Ms. Walsh is carving pumpkins for the whole floor. I'll pass, I muttered. I have enough scary stuff. He peered at my screen. Silver Grain? Easy peasy. Their price barely moves. Maybe it should, I said, pointing at the note. See this? Short-term borrowing looks low, but the interest fee is high. That doesn't add up. Jake shrugged. Could be a typo. Don't spook yourself. I wanted to believe him. I closed the file and stood to deliver the folder to Mr. Carter. As I walked past the elevator bank, I noticed something odd. The little digital floor list that usually skipped from 12 to 14 paused for a blink on 13. I thought I was seeing things. When I looked again, it was normal. Mr. Carter's office had views all the way to the river. He skimmed my notes while I stood in the doorway. You flagged debt risk, he said. Bold, Miss Pierce. We're long on Silver Grain. That's the problem, I said. If this debt is real, and not just an accounting quirk, the stock could drop. We should reduce exposure. His smile was small and hard. We don't panic over rumors. Thank you. That'll be all. Back at my desk, a small gift box sat on my keyboard. No tag. I opened it to find a palm-sized pumpkin ceramic, smooth, warm to the touch like it had been sitting in the sun. On its base, someone had etched a thin number, 13. I looked around. Did you leave this? I asked Jake. He raised his brows. Nope. Cute though. I slid the tiny pumpkin into a drawer and tried to forget it. But that night, as I locked my monitor, the office lights dimmed and pulsed. The elevator chimed, once, twice, 3 times. I was alone on the floor. I shouldn't have checked. I did anyway. When the doors opened, there was a pumpkin on the elevator floor, larger than the one in my drawer. Its carved smile looked like a crooked ledger. A little sign rested beside it. "Ride to settle your balance." I told myself it was a dumb Halloween prank. I pushed one for the lobby. The car stayed still. The floor numbers scrolled down: 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. The 13 didn't appear. It never does in modern buildings. But the car kept humming, and then it stuttered, as if it had hit an invisible rung on a ladder. The lights flickered. I felt a drop in my stomach, like a roller coaster's first fall. The display flashed a blank square where a number should have been. Cold air seeped from the seams of the doors. "Not funny," I said to no one. The doors slid open. I was staring into a copy of our trading floor, but colder, emptier, as if the air itself had been priced too high. Desks lined the windows. Screens shone with charts, all dipping at the same sharp angle. At the far end sat a giant pumpkin on a glass desk, lit from within by a steady glow. I stepped forward because my legs moved without asking me first. On the screens, I recognized the tickers, our firm's top holdings: Silver Grain, Atlas Freight, Eden Health. Every price was falling. My heart hammered. I tried my phone. No signal. A new line of red letters typed itself across all the screens at once. "Debt comes due." I backed up to the elevator. The pumpkin's grin seemed to stretch. Something rattled under the desks, like coins rolling on a tray. Papers lifted in a wind that wasn't there. I whispered, "Hello?" and hated how small I sounded. A whisper answered from the speakers by the ceiling, the kind we use for announcements. The voice didn't belong to anyone I knew. It was layered, like many voices at once. "Emma Pierce. Borrower. Pledges made. Pledges broken. I pay my bills," I said, though my throat was tight. "I'm trying." The screens flipped to show numbers I knew too well. My student loan balance, to the cent. My dad's hospital charges. The credit card I'd used when the car broke down. Each item turned red. Next to them, a date, October 31st. That was Friday. "How do you know that?" I asked, breath white in the sudden cold. "On the 13th, the truth is marked," the voice said. "Markets mark to market. People mark to promise." The big pumpkin leaned. No, it didn't move. Instead, the room tilted, and it felt like it was leaning toward me. I grabbed the elevator rail. The doors began to slide shut, slow as a yawn. A dark line spread across the carpet, like ink bleeding, racing for my shoes. The whisper thinned to a hiss. "Payment, or price." The ink reached my toes. The lights snapped off. I smashed the closed door button again and again. The last thing I saw before darkness swallowed the room was the pumpkin's $sign grin widening, as if it could open far enough to swallow a person whole. The doors pinched together. Something slammed into the elevator from the outside, hard enough to throw me against the rail. The car shuddered, lights strobing. The floor display flicked on with a single number I wasn't ready to see. The elevator dropped so fast I thought the cables had snapped. I screamed and grabbed the railing, but then just as suddenly it stopped. Total silence. The air felt heavier, thicker, like breathing through dust. My phone screen flickered to life for a second before dying again. The number, 13, glowed red on the panel, brighter than before. I forced the doors open. The hallway outside wasn't the one from my building. It looked older. The carpet was green but faded to brown in spots, and the lights buzzed like dying fireflies. A smell of burnt wires and rotting pumpkins filled the air. Somewhere down the hall, I heard typing, slow, steady, mechanical. I followed the sound. Each step echoed like the floor was hollow. A door at the end had a plaque. "Financial reconciliation." I pushed it open. Inside sat a dozen people in business suits, motionless, faces gray and waxy. Their computers blinked with red graphs, just like the ghost floor earlier. In front of them sat Mr. Carter. He looked up and smiled, but something was wrong. His eyes were completely black, like polished coins. Emma, he said calmly, welcome to the 13th floor. Every debt must be balanced. I don't understand, I whispered. This isn't real. Oh, it's real, he replied. This is where losses are collected. You signed the papers. You joined the system. Now it's your turn. He raised a hand, and the workers turned toward me, each holding glowing orange pumpkins instead of briefcases. The carved smiles widened. One of them stood and stepped closer, the light from their pumpkin casting long shadows across the room. I stumbled back toward the door. But when I turned the handle, it wouldn't move. The lights went out, except for the pumpkins, which all began to laugh.